Have you ever had a used car nightmare? You know the feeling, the sinking sensation in your stomach when the engine won't start, or the panic that sets in when a strange noise starts coming from under the hood. All of which happens 5 minutes after the seller quickly leaves with your cash. In this video, we'll explore some of the most frightening stories of used car disasters. From faulty brakes to hidden rust and everything in between, literally. So buckle up, this is going to be a bumpy ride. One of the most common requests from used car buyers is that they don't want a car that looks used. That includes no rust. But when you're buying a vehicle online, it can be harder to tell what the body and parts actually look like. They say hindsight is 20/20, and that's definitely true for used truck buyer David P. from Astor, Florida. He found what seemed like a perfect vehicle in an online ad and even specifically told the salesman that they didn't want a car with rust. The salesman sent photos showing the underside of the vehicle, assuring them there was no corrosion. Feeling confident, David wired the money and had the truck shipped over. However, when the truck arrived, he quickly realized the photos must have been from a different vehicle. Every brake and fuel line was corroded and in need of replacement, costing over $4,000. The lesson learned? Never trust used car sales without personally inspecting the vehicle or finding an inspector you can trust. Car history reports are designed to give used car buyers knowledge of any accidents or major repairs the car has been through. But not all history reports are created equal or are even honest. Just ask our next buyer. Abby W. from Arlington, Virginia thought she had hit the jackpot when she found a used Hyundai Sonata with no accident history on a car lot. However, her excitement didn't last long when she noticed the car was leaking fluid and took it to a dealership for a warranty repair. To her surprise, the windshield fluid reservoir was cracked, and upon further inspection, the dealership found out that the car had been in an accident. The front bumper was replaced, the radiator was damaged, the frame was bent, and other evidence of the crash was found. Worse yet, the car had been driven without coolant, causing it to overheat and damage the engine. To her dismay, all of these issues voided the warranty, and she had to pay to fix everything. Abby learned the hard way that a clean vehicle history report doesn't always mean the car is in good condition. Auctions can create a false sense of security in a vehicle's value and condition. If all the other bidders are fighting hard to get their hands on it, then it must be good, right? Maybe not. Eric from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, went to an auto auction and noticed everyone bidding on a pristine-looking Acura TL. He thought it looked clean and reliable since people were raising their bids, so he decided to bid as well. To his excitement, he won the auction, completed the paperwork, and got the title and keys. However, when he tried to start the car, it wouldn't budge. Upon opening the hood, he was shocked to find that there was nothing under it. No engine, no transmission, no radiator, no battery. The car was empty. Eric contacted the auction, but they explained that the car was sold as is, leaving him with no recourse. Luckily, Eric soon met someone who had the same car but with a bad body and a good engine. They transferred in the drivetrain and the car ran like a dream. Eric was relieved that the situation wasn't worse, but he learned a valuable lesson to always thoroughly inspect any vehicle before making a purchase at an auction. You'd think any engine is better than no engine at all, but that might not be the case, as John B. from Hartford, Connecticut discovered. John purchased an Audi A4 with the clean title from a used car dealership. The car was running smoothly for a few weeks, but one day the check engine light came on. Concerned, he took the car to an Audi garage for inspection. The diagnosis revealed that the piston rings had failed, which is a common issue for that model. Audi agreed to replace the rings and other faulty engine parts. However, when they started to tear apart the engine, they discovered that it was from a different year and had yellow junkyard marks on it. Since the engine wasn't original, Audi changed their minds about the repair, leaving John to face the problem alone. As a result, he had to sell the car at a loss, as it was still burning oil and down on power when he sold it. John learned the hard way that buying a used car isn't always a straightforward process, and it's crucial to do thorough research and inspections before making a purchase. Sometimes changes in life circumstances can push buyers into making a decision in a hurry, and car dealers use the urgency to their advantage, like what happened to Joanne from Arlington, Virginia. She took a job offer in Kazakhstan and needed a four-wheel drive vehicle to cruise Central Asia. She decided to trade in her Ford Contour and Toyota Corolla for a nice used Toyota 4Runner. The dealer took the keys to Joanne's cars to test drive them while she checked out the 4Runner. But her browsing was interrupted when she noticed 2 fire trucks, an ambulance, and a police car speeding past the dealership. It turns out the dealer's driver had wrapped her Ford around a tree. The dealer offered Joanne the 4Runner as a loan while she dealt with an insurance claim for the Contour. Not only did the dealership do everything in its power to avoid shelling out the deductible to cover the damage to the Ford, but the 4Runner had died in Joanne's driveway. The dealer spent almost a month trying to convince Joanne to buy the completely inoperable SUV before finally giving up and towing it away. Does anyone remember the scene in Matilda where Dad and crooked car salesman Mr. Wormwood used superglue to hold together crumbling autos?
We use super glue instead.
Believe it or not, this happens in real life. Just ask Brandon from Winthrop, Massachusetts. Brandon decided to check out a used car dealership to see if he could find a good deal. He came across a Honda that caught his eye, and the salesperson let him take it out for a test drive. Satisfied with the car's performance, he decided to buy it, especially since it was being sold at a low price. Proudly, he drove the car home and invited his girlfriend for a ride. However, as she opened the passenger door, it almost fell off. It turned out that the car had been in a major accident and the dealership had merely glued the door in place. Brandon was understandably angry, but the salesperson just laughed at his misfortune and offered no help. As horrible as these used car stories are, the pain of buying a lemon isn't reserved exclusively for pre-owned vehicles. Mark from Norwich, Connecticut bought a brand new car that turned out to be a lemon from the start. On the day he took it home from the dealership, he noticed transmission problems. Mark immediately called the salesperson, who asked if he could live with it until the first oil change. Mark agreed. But when the car reached 3,500 miles, he brought it back to the dealership. However, the dealership couldn't detect any issues and told him to keep driving. When the car reached 7,000 miles, they still didn't believe him, so Mark took one of their technicians for a drive, and finally, he felt the issue. The dealership kept the car for a few days and replaced some parts, assuring Mark that he should be all set. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Eventually, the manufacturer sent a representative to investigate the problem. Mark took her for a ride and she felt the issue too. After some deliberation, they told Mark they would get him a new car, but he would owe them for the mileage he added. Mark reminded them that he reported the issue on day 1, which was documented, so they reversed their decision. Then they told Mark that there wasn't a comparable vehicle in the region, so he would have to pay the difference for a newer model. Mark refused, stating that it wasn't his problem that they couldn't fix the defective product he had bought. Finally, the dealership gave him a brand new replacement at no cost, which he had for a few years and enjoyed. Do you have a used car horror story? If so, make sure to drop it in the comments below and we'll see you in the next video.